If you've ever planted zucchini, you know there comes a point in the summer when you wonder, where did all of this zucchini come from and who can I give it to? Today we're talking about that garden plant that is just as ridiculous as it is delicious, the zucchini. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Garden Gamble, where we're planting hope, taking chances, and growing memories for every season. I'm Ricky Clausen, owner of Clausen's Greenhouse in northern Minnesota. This podcast is for anyone who's ever stood in the garden, greenhouse, or backyard wondering if they're doing it right. Here we talk real-life gardening, the wins, the mistakes, and everything we learn along the way. Whether you're new to plants or have dirt permanently under your nails, you're in the right place. Let's take the gamble and grow together. Hey everyone, welcome to today's episode of the Garden Gamble podcast. And today we are taking a little break of talking about flowers, which I know that we have talked a lot about on the podcast in some previous episodes. I talk a lot about the flowers, of course, because I have the big flower farm, and that's what I'm into like right now and what I'm working on. But today I really wanted to touch a little bit more on the vegetable side of things, kind of just touch on a little bit of that. And I wanted to talk about zucchini today. It is definitely one of my favorite garden vegetables to have throughout the summer. When I was still doing a large vegetable garden, this was one that I very much looked forward to. I don't have any planted myself this year, but both my mom and my sister have some, and kind of like what I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, you get to that point in the season, if you've grown it, that you're like, all right, who can I give it to? So I have a few people that have been so gracious to give me a few of their zucchini plants, and I know I can find some at our local farmers market if I want to visit there too. But I love zucchini. I love to grow it. That's why I wanted to talk about it today. We're going to kind of dive in all about zucchini, growing it, harvesting it, some recipes, and yeah, at the end of this podcast too, I'm going to share a few of my favorites, and feel free to leave comments if you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to leave a comment or send us a message and let us know what some of your favorites are as well. So let's just dive right into it. So zucchini is a warm season squash. It's a summer squash, actually. It loves the sun, it loves the warmth, and it really enjoys consistent moisture. And one or two plants is going to produce a lot. And don't underestimate how much space they need. So when you pick them up from a greenhouse or garden center like us, yeah, they're going to come. If you get a start, they're just in a little individual container, or maybe even a 6-pack. We don't do as many 6-packs anymore because most people don't need that much. Or maybe you even direct seeded it into your garden. But what starts out as a teeny tiny little plant soon becomes this huge plant in your garden. So make sure that you give it lots and lots of space. And before we kind of jump into a little bit more about zucchini, like I mentioned, one or two plants can produce a lot. So if I kind of rewind to when we were still doing our large market garden, when we first had the greenhouse, when we first moved on to our property, we had a massive vegetable garden. And when we really started to get into it, I remember that I think it was the second or third year that we did the market garden, that I planted way too many zucchini and yellow summer squash. It is one of my favorites. So I'm like, I'm just going to plant a whole lot. I love it. I do a lot with it. And so I planted 10 of them. And if you have ever grown zucchini and you hear that I planted 10 of them, you probably think that I was out of my mind. And I absolutely was, because I had so much zucchini and yellow summer squash. Like, I didn't even know what to do with it all. And this was when I was still doing like farmers markets, and we had just a few like CSA like share type things happening with a couple people. So I had plenty of avenues to sell it, get rid of it. I gave some to basically anyone that I knew. But yeah, 10 plants. That was insane. And that's the gamble that we took. I thought that that was great, and I had way too many, but I love zucchini, so I had enough to kind of fill my appetite of zucchini, I guess, that season. But yeah, 1 or 2 plants can go a long ways for sure. So a little bit more about zucchini too. Let's talk a little bit about flowers and pollination. So on zucchini flowers, there's actually male and female flowers. So the female flowers are going to have the tiny zucchini or that like swollen little squash behind the flower, where the male ones are going to be on a long skinny flower, and they pollinate each other, of course. So there is male and female flowers, and the female ones are the only ones that are actually going to produce the zucchini fruit. So that was a little fun fact. So not all of the flowers that you see on your zucchini plants are going to produce a fruit. Some poor pollination can cause some small zucchini and to turn yellow. Sometimes the flowers will fall off. You can do hand pollination too if you really want to get into it. I've never gotten to the point where I felt like I really needed to hand pollinate, but it is something you can do if you've got a little time as well. There is male and female flowers and a little bit about the pollination of them as well. Some common zucchini problems. Sometimes you come out with huge leaves and little to no fruit. And there's a few reasons for this. Many of them is excess nitrogen in your soil. It could be a heat problem, and it could be a pollination problem too. Another problem that we see often on, well, a lot of the squashes and pumpkins in general, but on zucchini, is powdery mildew, which is kind of exactly how it sounds. It's kind of a white, powdery looking substance that you see on the leaves, and it usually comes on later in the summer. So that is something that, like right now, towards the end of August here, is something to watch out for. You can also watch out for like squash bugs, and I don't know, sometimes you just get some misshapen zucchini, and that can be a number of different factors, but lots of times it's a pollination or just certain growing conditions that can kind of cause that. Oftentimes you'll see it where you've got like one really thick side that kind of dwindles down into a really skinny side too. So sometimes you get misshapen zucchini, but misshapen zucchini is still zucchini and it still tastes delicious. So when to harvest your zucchini. So when you have your zucchini, you're really going to want to check them frequently, because zucchini can grow incredibly fast, where you might check it one morning, harvest what's good, and maybe you got your eye on a small one and you come back the next day and it's massive. They grow so fast. So make sure that you are checking it very frequently, sometimes even morning and night, just depending on. But if you do miss one, those really large zucchinis that sometimes they get to be like a baseball bat, doesn't mean that you can't do anything with them. There are a number of different recipes and things that you can still do with those large zucchinis that you might have initially missed. But the young zucchinis are going to be a lot more tender and kind of the ones that you want to go for when you are harvesting. So a little bit younger, a little bit smaller. It's going to be the most tender ones. And when you get those really huge ones, that outer skin is just going to start to get quite a bit tougher. And like I said, you still can use it. It doesn't have to be wasted. You can use it in different recipes. But yeah, look for those little ones as much as you can. And harvesting regularly is really going to encourage that continued production of your plant as well. So what can you do with all of that zucchini that you have coming out of your garden? The nice thing is zucchini lasts for quite a while after harvest. So it's not like some of the other garden vegetables that you really want to hurry up and use up before it goes bad. It does have a decent shelf life, but there's a few different things that you can do with it. You can grill it, you can make zucchini bread, fritters, zoodle, pickled zucchini. You can shred it and freeze it, which a lot of people do, and then use it in recipes later on into the winter. And those really big ones are really good for shredding because you want to kind of take off that hard outer skin. Lots of times in those large ones, you're going to find a lot of seeds in the middle that you can just scoop out and then use the good stuff and shred it and freeze it for use in the winter. So that's a way to use up some of those really large ones. The small ones, those ones I like just kind of slicing up, frying in a pan for different recipes. I am very simple and I like to just slice them, fry them in butter with a little bit of seasoning salt on top. I absolutely love that. I could eat that literally all summer long. It's my favorite. One of my favorite desserts with zucchini is just chocolate zucchini cake. My mom makes one that is stellar. It's so good. She actually made some last time that I was home, and I think I ate that for breakfast both nights that I was there. So that was really good, and you get your vegetables in that way. It's eating dessert, but still healthy, right? Isn't that how that's supposed to go? But yeah, there is a number of different recipes that you can use as well. And the last of my favorite recipes that I use for zucchini is those like medium-sized ones, not the really, really huge ones, but those mid-size zucchinis. I like to slice them into like, I don't know, 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch thick slices. And I like to make what I call zucchini pizzas, where we fry it and then you add just a tiny bit of pizza sauce, some cheese, some pepperoni, a little bit of seasonings on there, and make little zucchini pizzas. So they're like individual sized pizzas, and they are so good. A roommate and I in college, we made these all the time. It was something really quick that we can make. As a college student, it was wonderful because it was something decently healthy that we could have. And when we went home on the weekends, we both came back from our parents' garden with lots of zucchini. So that was one of the things that we made to kind of use up the zucchini that we had. Zucchini pizzas, those are also really, really good. So like I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, if you have a special zucchini recipe that you really enjoy and are finding a way to use up that excess zucchini that you have, I'd love to know. Feel free to send us a message or post it in the comments. I would love to know how you use your zucchini. All right, so kind of in closing, little challenge for you at the end of this episode here is make sure that you go check your zucchini plants today, maybe even twice a day. Make sure you really look under those leaves so you don't miss any of them, and come back to baseball bat size ones tomorrow when you go look. And then I want you to try a new recipe that maybe you've seen in the comments here, or look up a new one that you want to try. There's so many good ones, and you can kind of do it for breakfast. You can do it for lunch. You can do it for dinner. There's so many different recipe options. So try something new this week, or go ahead and give it to a neighbor that might not have any too if you've got a lot on your hands. Zucchini may be one of the most ridiculous vegetables in the garden, but that's what makes it so fun. It grows fast, produces like crazy, and somehow hides those giant zucchinis underneath a leaf that you swear you checked yesterday. So enjoy it, share it, cook it, freeze it, and remember, sometimes our biggest garden successes are the things that we accidentally grew way too much of. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the Garden Gamble podcast, and we will catch you next Monday. Take care. Thanks for joining me on The Garden Gamble. If you loved this episode, be sure to subscribe and share it with a fellow plant lover. Gardening isn't a gamble when you have the right guidance, and you don't have to figure it out alone. Until next time, take care.